Welcome to Make Shit Happen. Today, my guest is Lolita Guarin. Lolita is a stress management expert. Lolita also wrote a book called Crush Stress While You Work. Lolita, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Well, thank you very much for inviting. I'm delighted to be here.
Lolita, thank you for taking the drive. I know these are crazy times, and I really appreciate you coming in, and we keeping social distancing while we talk. So, Lolita, tell me a little bit about you. Tell us, our listeners, our people who are watching you, who are you, what you do. Tell us a little bit about this book that you wrote, Crush Stress While You Work. And right now, stress is so important. So, tell me a little bit about what you do.
So, my full name is Lolita Guarin. And if you're wondering what is that soup of letters in the middle means, it's my maiden name. And I'm originally from Lithuania. And I came here in US back in 2000, and I came as an au pair. So I was a nanny, and 3 years old was my English teacher, because I came knowing very little English and knew actually French at school. So yeah, she will put her arms on her waist and said, "No, it's not put your socks on, put your socks on." And that's where I get all my English from. So if I say something, that's the 3 years old in me talking. But when I came here, obviously I wanted to achieve my American dream, and so I went to school, and then my parents came. They won a green card lottery, so they became residents, now they're citizens. It was just amazing that I just came in, and they, like, a month later, my mom calls and she's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And she's calling me, and that's very weird because back in the day it was very expensive to call to US. So I said, "Oh, okay, well, you're not crying and you're in a good mood. You won green card lottery, guys, did you?" And she said, "Yes, we did." So they came here. I'm very fortunate because I'm only one child, so it's very important for me to have my parents here. So then I stayed here instead of going back, as all au pairs should be going back. And so I went to school here and continued my studies. I already have a bachelor's degree in geography back from Lithuania. So I thought I can make some maps here, and the mapping software just became very popular here. So I went back to school, and that's where I met my husband. And we got married, and I went to work for the corporate America. And obviously, like all of us want to achieve American dream, we work very hard, overtime, and no lunches, weekends. And I wanted to prove myself to my supervisor that I can do more, and I wanted to learn more. So basically, I almost was working like 60 hours a week. Obviously, I had no time to exercise. My health was deteriorating. What I would eat, donuts and leftover pizza in the lunchroom. And it got to the point that I was so stressed out that my body just couldn't take it anymore. I just dropped on the floor in the kitchen in the middle of the night and had to be rushed to emergency room.
Wow.
Because it's just the stress, the hormones, everything is just and that was the diagnosis. I mean, I'm a young person. It's like, how could this happen to me? And I had friends, they will say, "Oh, come on, just go to the doctor. They will give you some pill and you'll be fine." And I'm like, well, I don't want to medicate myself. I mean, it has to be a better way. Obviously, we live with stress all our lives through all generations, right? And so I started looking for ways how you can manage your stress naturally, and it doesn't take you that much time to do it, and you don't end up collapsing at the end of it. And so I had lots of books, workshops, teaching, coaching, anything, and I was so passionate to share this information with others because I started applying during my day, and of course the results were amazing because I didn't collapse at the end of it, and I was productive. And I was like, wow, actually, if I'll take break and I take care of myself, I can do better my job. I could be a better person. I could have more patience towards my spouse, towards my friends. And so I remember I was in some party, and a lady says, "You have so much to give. You should be a coach." And I'm like, "Coach? Never thought about that." So I thought that would be a great idea. I love teaching others and to share how I can, let all of this knowledge out so we all can just be less stressed. And so I got certified as a life coach and also stress coach. And I started coaching clients, and this is how this book came along, because every time when I start the coaching, we do the test, the test. I want to see where are the stress levels, and what's the goal, and then I will give them advices what to do. But I realized that just repeat myself over and over. So I created a book, Crush Stress While You Work. It's full of tips and tricks, and it's just a really good book for someone just pick up and say, I kind of feel I could use some stress relief right now. You just can pick up the book and you can just flip through pages, read something that doesn't even take you that much to read, and just apply it. And I believe her, and you don't have to spend all your day on stress managing. I have clients who they say, oh, I don't have time for this. It's like, yes, you do. I mean, just closing your eyes for 2 minutes, you can do this. It's only just takes that you need to take action. So you need to shift your priorities, but if you cannot help yourself, nobody else can help you. More than that, I have clients that say, oh, I cannot find any time. My priority is my family. And I'm like, okay, so let's just say you're not going to take care of your stress. You're going to get yourself sick. Then you're going to be in the hospital. Who's going to take care of the family then? So by investing that time in your well-being, you're helping your family and those that you love.
Yeah, so basically what you are telling your clients is like, take care of yourself, then otherwise no one is going to take care of family. It's like when you're in the plane and the air hostess say, put the mask on before you help the other person. And
Exactly.
that is so true in a lot of aspects of life. Sometimes we don't understand that, you can't, if someone is drowning, you're trying to assist them. Well, first you want to save yourself. So that's basically what you wanted. Your message was to, or it is to a lot of your clients, say, hey, save yourself first so you can help your loved ones. Make sure so that way you don't, collapse on your kitchen floor and stuff
Right.
like that.
Exactly.
So what was your thought when you collapsed on the kitchen floor? I mean, what was the afterthought? Like, next day you're in the hospital. What happened? Tell me a little bit about that too.
Well, first of all, I thought how this could happen to me. And for some reason, I thought that, just old people get sick, and I will never get there, and I'm still young. I can go and I can push myself forward, and I don't need to sleep 7 hours at night. I don't
Yeah.
need to eat healthy. I can make this. I can do this, and that was a surprise to me. And I realized, whoops, I'm actually really pushed too hard. But that was a serious wake up call when I thought, wow, if I'm gonna continue going like this, I'm just not gonna go for long.
Yeah.
And I looked, and obviously because I was so stressed, I was really like losing my patience, and we had a relationship issues with my husband because I was just so stressed out, and it's just an explosive. And so like that's not the place I want to be. I want to be healthy. I want to have a happy marriage. I want to take care of my family. I want to take care of my friends, and I need to do something and very quick.
And so, Lolita, we see this all over, right? People are, severely stressed at work. They come home, they take the stress, they take their frustration out on their partners, on their kids. What do you think about that? I mean, and how do people who are listening, if everybody's thinking, hey, listen, everyone has stress. Okay, I have stress. Angel, who's recording, has stress. People who are listening to us right now, they all have stress. Can you share something with us that maybe like a simple tip that it will relieve our stress right away, or maybe an exercise?
Yes, I actually have quite a few exercises that you can do. And first of all, we need to just stop. We just go, 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 go. And especially right now, we are so consumed with any news about the virus, and we just everywhere you look on social media, everything is saturated. So we need to first of all just kind of like stop and think only where you are right now and take your day by day. Because we are anxious, we will gonna make other people anxious, and we will pick up that stress from somebody else. So the first thing is just to stop and really just breathe in, breathe out. And I want to say a few things about the breathing exercises. I've heard so many different breathing exercises that are, oh my gosh, you can breathe in and count to 5, then you hold, then you release, then no, you need to count till 8, then you count till 10. I realized one thing: it really depends on how big are your lungs and how fast you can count. As long as you breathe in deeply and then breathe out, just do 5 or to 10 times, you automatically will feel more relaxed, because when you breathe in, the oxygen reaches your brain, and also it slows down your heartbeat. So just breathing in and breathing out and just stopping right there, it will give you a quick, fast release. Of course, a relief not for the not like you're just gonna this is not a drug, it's just gonna knock you out, but you just need to stop it. But another thing what we all stressing out about is your thoughts, because the thought is such a thing. It's like a train. You hear something, let's say from social media or from the news, and say, oh, we have 1,000 more infected, and you immediately start thinking, oh, what's going to happen next? And then this is where you need to stop, because if you're going to continue thinking, it's just like a train. It's just going to take you over the cliff. And so what I recommend is to have some sort of like a stress management tool that you can use that has to do how to manage your thoughts. So, for example, as soon as I start going the negative way, I repeat to myself my affirmation. Now, affirmation is something that you tell yourself that starts I am, and then you attach some word that inspires you, or who do you want to be. So, for example, I say, I am calm, collected, confident, and in control. And then I just repeat myself this. And really, all of this information doesn't have to be exactly what I just said, the words. Everyone has their own priorities and how they feel, what the place they want to be. And
whatever you can add at the end of I am.
Yes. And you just repeat that sentence. And why do you want to repeat this? Because as soon you're going to stop repeating, the negative thoughts will come back again. So you need to repeat something over and over until you feel like you're safe and you can come out of that bubble and say, okay, now I can move on with my day. And again, that could be affirmation, or you can read your favorite verse, or a Bible, a verse or something that inspires you, but it has to be positive, and also there are some sentences like for example, the Ho'oponopono, it says pretty much, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you. And you just repeat the same words over and over. They are positive words, and then you repeat them. So one thing is, when you're repeating those words, also, if you can, and we definitely can, it's important to incorporate the physical touch. The brain loves the touch. You know how kids, when they're upset, they run for the hug? They want to be comforted. Well, when we grow up as an adults, we feel like, well, I cannot touch anyone now. I'm not going to run to my coworker and say, hey, give me a hug, right? Or for God forbids, if I'm going to touch myself, my gosh, this is just going to be so bad. But if you don't feel like, you don't want to show everyone that now you need a hug, you just can touch your neck and just massage your neck, and that's already touching your body, and your brain is already reacting and calming down. Or you can massage your hands, your fingers, for example, and that's also good if you work all day at the computer, and so you have to stop and take care of your hands as well. So while you're taking care of those fingers physically, your brain also getting happier. So when you get into a place where you feel that stress will make you more anxious, just tell yourself the positive sentence, and you just massage your neck or your hand, or just stroke your arms or something that kind of gives you a physical touch. And I have people ask me, well, how long I should do this? Well, you need to do this until it helps you. But I would not think that you will need to do this for half an hour. I mean, within a few minutes, you will see the difference already. And if you will do this multiple times, your brain will know, oh, this is the stress management tool that I'm going to use. So you will get to the point when, let's say, you sit in traffic and then you get stressed out about the person that comes in front of you, and you will start breathing in deeply and already you're repeating the affirmation to yourself, because it will become something that you just can reach in, grab what you needed, get yourself better, get yourself on track, and continue with your day. It doesn't have to take hours.
All right. So right now, because with the coronavirus going on, there's a lot of people that are consumed with social media, and a lot of people are glued in front of the news. And, it's just like if me and you were walking, okay, and we see a newspaper and it says it's going to be sunny and the weather is going to be great, we're probably not going to pick up the newspaper. But if it says storms coming and, brace for shelter, me and you probably, one of us will probably pick up the newspaper because, we want to read the bad news. And right now, and media knows that.
Right.
People are attracted to bad news. And that's why people are glued in front of the TV. Now, is the media doing, something that is bad? Well, they want to make money. They want to get their doors open, keep their doors open. But, people are getting social anxiety. Sitting at home, you can't go nowhere. You glued to the TV. You glued in front. You have your phone in your hand. How can someone? I mean, do you have any tips of how we can deal with this social anxiety? Because social anxiety causes stress,
Right.
or anxiety causes stress, right? And anxiety causes fear. Fear causes stress. So tell me, what do you think about that, and how will you? Do you have any tips how people can deal with that?
Yes. So, first of all, all the news are going to be there anyway. It all depends on your attitude. So, if someone is really stressing out, you need to ask yourself, okay, how is my today changed since yesterday? Well, we now and sitting at home kind of thing for a week or so now, and every day is not much really changing. And then you need to ask yourself, am I really in danger this moment? Seriously, is there like, a tiger waiting and he's gonna catch you now? Most of the time, we are not really in real danger any moment. So then you need to remember what the day yesterday looked like. Well, it looked the same as today. Well, and nothing bad happened to you. So you're just gonna carry on. Also, I'm inviting everyone to take a piece of paper and write it down. Yes, can you believe it? Writing down. Actually, our brain works better when you're writing things down and relaxes more. So just think about all of those, you know, those stories from all of your life, all of those experiences that you had when you were in the situation when you were very afraid and you were so scared what's going to happen to you tomorrow. You were maybe thinking you're going to lose a job. And then you write it down. What really happened at the end of it? You need to remember all of those times that you thought that the worst will happen, but it did not happen. Because we have plenty of those stories. We personally go through them, and there are plenty of stories that we don't know what will happen next, like getting in a new relationship. Well, you don't know, there's unknown. Or you're starting a new venture. Well, you don't know how that's going to happen, and it's scary. And so you need to write it down, that list, and you need, to come up with the most stories as possible. When you thought you're getting a bad health diagnosis, but you didn't, all was fine. Or you heard... you thought that your kid was hurt somewhere on the road because they didn't respond to your call, but then turned out that they just didn't hear the call. So there's so many worries every day that we personally one by one experience, but we don't think about it as a very big deal because right now we're just kind of all in the fear collectively. So it becomes a big deal because we belong to a group. We are humans that love to be feeling safe in the more people, the better. And now everyone is scared, so we feel, wow, there's no way for me to go if I need help. But we are here for each other. We just need to realize that this stress, we always deal all the time. We just don't have to multiply it and making such a big deal out of it. It is a big deal, but we still can control it. Because if you will just scare yourself, you will be more scared and it's just not going to go anywhere. Really worrying, another tip. If you go... during the day and you start feeling you will start worry about your kids, your health, your parents, your job, all of this. Write it down on a piece of paper and then tell yourself, okay, every day at 3 p.m. for 15 minutes, I'm going to worry. So now, which is only 10 o'clock, you're going to tell yourself, alrighty, I'm afraid I will not have a job tomorrow. I'm going to write it down on a piece of paper and I'm going to put it aside. Now comes 3 o'clock, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to look at the list, and I'm going to think, okay, that's what they wrote. I'm going to be, I'm afraid about that. Okay, so what I'm going to do about that? Worry, okay. If you're going to worry, that's not going to really make any difference, except you will make yourself more sick and stressed out. So that means to change that, you need to take action. So, for example, let's say that someone is worried that I won't have a job anymore. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what is next thing to do? I asking again, take out a piece of paper and brainstorm what is the worst thing that can happen. Just what's the worst thing? Okay, you're going to lose your job. All right. So then what are you going to do? Maybe you'll ask some friends for help after we all done with this pandemic. Will you cash out some savings? Hopefully stock market will come back so you can cash some 401k or something. What is the worst case scenario? Like, okay, maybe what's the worst case scenario? Okay, then I pick up my kids and go back to my mom and dad, and then we're gonna sell the house. And of course, but then all of this time, looks very scary. But as you are telling this to yourself, you're facing it. So then it's like, oh, I still will survive. You kind of go through those motions of, I still will survive. We will be okay. And then when you get and you prepare yourself, what I will do if the worst comes to worst, then you feel more safe because I already have a plan. I think we can make this. And if you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to make this, I don't know what to do, then this is the moment when you need to ask for help. Then you need to reach out to your friends, to your family, go online, Google something up, how to prepare yourself for the future, financial future, how to make your immune system healthier. Address those fears and take action. Because if you're just going to sit and worry about it, you're just making yourself sick, literally.
Right.
So just take action, make a plan. And then when you already have a plan for the worst case scenario, you're good. It's kind of like, we live in Houston, so they say hurricane's coming. We already know what that means, right? You go to the store, get some food, get some water, and then you hunker in. Nobody prepares for a pandemic, right? That's why it's so scary. But if you will think about it, okay, what's the worst case scenario? What is my hurricane in my life? Then prepare, get your food, get your crackers, get your cans, and there you go. So when you're already prepared, it doesn't look that scary. It's the same like in Houston area. Oh, here's another hurricane coming. We're already prepared. We already know. We're not that scared. We're used to it. So if you really look at it that way, the more safety you will give yourself, the more feeling of that you are in control, the less stressed you will be.
Right. So... And like, exactly what you touched at, a lot of people are scared about, am I going to have a job? Am I going to have a house? And I mean, so that's a very good, way. Write it down. What's the worst that can happen and prepare yourself. I love that tip. Is there anything else that you would tell people, especially nowadays, husband, the couples are at home. And I just saw yesterday the chief of police was saying there's more domestic violence going on now because they're all cooped up all in one places. And what do you think about that? And I mean, what advice will you give couples about dealing with stress? Because a lot of them are stressed. And when we stress, we fight or we argue or we bicker about little things that might not mean anything, but you're right in front of each other. So what would you tell people?
Well, first of all, we need to remember that we're all doing the best at the given moment for what we have. And I don't think that there is a person that thinks, oh, you know what, I'm going to go in now and shout at my wife because, well, you know what, it feels good. No, probably it's not, because it's all coming from being fearful about themselves. And if when you're feeling you're not in control, you will attack other people verbally or physically just to make yourself feel better. First of all, for those who are at home and they are physically hurt, they should ask for help. There is no reason, pandemic or not pandemic, that they should be staying where they are and being hurt. That's just no way. They have to get themselves out of there. Mm-hmm. But overall, we need to tell ourselves we're doing the best we can at the moment, but also be more forgiving to yourself and others. First, majority of people love to have their own rules, and has to be my way or the highway. Well, this is the time when you need to ask yourself, is it really worth it for me today to have a fight for something that's probably not going to matter a week from now? And I tell my clients how not to get in arguments or how to not get upset about something that happens in front of you. Ask yourself a question. Will this matter in 5 years? Majority of things not gonna matter. It's like if your child wants cereal for dinner, will that matter in 5 years? No, not. So maybe you just let it go and say, okay, it's okay if you have a cereal, but that made that child happy for the moment, and then it's less stress. You don't have to think what you're gonna do for dinner because they already made a decision on themselves. And what comes for living in relationships, first you need to realize that the other person also very scared and they don't know what to do, and we just need to let that go, and or even stop and say, I'm sorry you feel this way, we all in this together, we also afraid right now, but we'll get this through. But just getting in an argument, it will get us nowhere. You have to have forgiveness for others and for yourself. You have to be not that hard. I know also lots of people right now, they have very high standards and they're like, I have to perform my work. My kids still need to do the activities. I need to exercise. I cannot go to the gym. Oh my gosh. Well, you know what? You need to just relax a little and say, no, it's not a big deal. So anytime that you get in any argument, you need to wait. Is it really a big deal? Is it really a big deal? Of course, if somebody is hurting you, that is a big deal. So you need to ask for help. But if it is a matter of one will go while we eat something or something very stupid, just let it go, because it's not worth it. All of this will pass, and then we'll remember ourselves as, wow, we lived through this. But it's also important that to realize that all of this, in a way, bringing us together, because now we can see the people we love 24/7 is, oh my gosh, we have to see them now. But in a way, when you have your kids, you can see how they're growing. Wow, now you have that time. Because I remember you used to maybe sit at work and think, oh, I wish I could go my son playing soccer. Well, now you have that time to actually see your son. So we need to look for silver lining on all of this situation, and there are people I know that are single and they're at home and they're like, oh, I'm just so lonely. And I'm like, why don't you just spend all of this time, what you used to spend going to work, sitting in traffic, learn a new foreign language, or maybe you need to write a book that always you were telling me about, so you need to find what is the silver lining out of this. Because if we just gonna hop on a train of anger and fear, it's just gonna take us down the cliff, and it's just not going to be a time that we want to remember of, wow, that was really hard. We should remember this. We stood together by each other's side, we helped the community, and we went through this.
Yeah, if someone that is true. Find the silver lining. If someone say, I wish I can go somewhere and be by myself, now is the time.
Exactly.
You want to read a book, you want to catch up on sleep. I mean, so yeah, I totally agree with that. So let me ask you a question, and I'm going to shift gears a little bit. When you wrote this book, I mean, what were you, and that's because you just said if someone wants to write a book, they should write a book. What will your advice be if someone wants to write a book? When you wrote it, what did you think about it? Did you know what you were going to write about? I mean, how did that take place?
Well, first you need to know why you're writing the book and
Okay.
who is this for. What's your audience, and then also you need to just sit down and brainstorm all the things that you're going to put in there. If you wrote only 2 pages, that's not a book. That's just an article. So if someone as an expert that has hours and hours to talk about, this means you can put that all in the book. So it really depends how much you have to say and what your audience is, and just get to it.
Just get to it, right?
Yeah, you have to do it, because you have to show up every day. You need to tell yourself, I'm going to do this every day for no matter what, even if I have nothing to say and nothing to write, I'm just going to show up and do it. And it takes commitment. But even if you do one step at a time with anything, not just writing a book, you'll achieve what you want.
So Lolita, you're at home probably right now, self-quarantining a lot with you and your husband. And so how's that going?
Well, we're sitting in separate rooms and working away. Really, I am working right now on my online course that will be specifically targeted to those who are right now quarantined, and I will talk about the basics of stress management. And again, it's going to be fully just tips and tricks how to manage stress. Then there will be a part about how to manage your kids, how to manage stress when you're dealing with the kids, how to manage stress while you're working at home, and manage stress, how to do with your coworkers and with other people that we right now all separated, and how to deal with that. So I am very busy. Then I have all videos already that I have to shoot, and my goal is to finish this week. So I had no weekend at all. Was just writing and doing videos, and I'm busy.
You're busy. So now let me, you brought this, stress from working from home. Most of the population right now is working from home. Okay. And when you're working in an office, you're just not, you have people you can talk to, you have adult conversation you can have, you can, you have water cooler talks, you can run to the, break room back and forth, go to the restroom. When you're working at home, sometimes it can become lonely. And then you got your kids right there, you got your wife right there, you're on the Zoom call, or you have, video conferencing going and your kids are coming right there. And this, and even if you're, have a room closed or something, but sometimes, you cannot control sometimes the audio level of what your kids are doing. And it can get very stressful for some people. And I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this are experiencing this or have experienced it. What is your advice for them?
First of all, we all need to remember we're all in this together. So just because you have a video call with someone, with a coworker, and your kid comes in and starts saying, daddy, 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 pick me up, don't get angry at that. Just pick up your son and give him a hug and say, okay, off you go. Remember that other person that you're actually talking with, they're going through the same thing. We need to be, again, more forgiving. And we say, you know what, it's not a big deal if the kid comes in. You have to take this with, well, it's okay. What happens, that happens. We get through this. But also routine is very important. I noticed I know some company owners that I have still clients, and they telling me, I don't know, all my coworkers, my employees at work, but they at home and they're probably not working when these should be. And then I have the other side where they have employees, and they telling me, my gosh, I just sit down at 8 o'clock in the morning and I just was working, and I realized it's dark. I need to go make dinner, because somehow there are people who think, others not doing their job at work. But those who sit at work, it's very easy to just continue working, because there is no another coworker that actually says, hey, bye, see you tomorrow. I'm sure you have so much business going on, and there are many days that you sit at your desk at work and another coworker goes and say, bye, see you tomorrow, and that's a cue for you, like, it's 5 o'clock, I need to go home. Yeah. And then you shut down and you go home. Well, here, there is no another coworker that reminds you that, it's time to go home or time to have lunch. Of course, if you have other people in your house and they say, hey, it's time for you to eat. I think the majority of people right now who are working from home, they feeling guilty that they're at home. They stressing out that, I'm not going to perform well enough. And that's why they are upset whenever somebody else comes into a room and disrupts them, because they're like, I'm trying to do here my job. So there is just kind of putting aside, just talking about the differences between men and women, how they manage stress. For the man, the job is the number one thing. For the women, the family is the number one thing. So right now what we have is a man who is at home and he needs to perform very well. That's why it's very difficult for him to manage all the family needs, and he has to make sure that his wife is happy and the kids are happy. And then he has to manage his work, because this is too much for a man to manage. But you also need to understand that it's okay if somebody have emotion. It's okay. All you need to do is just give them a hug and tell them that everything will be okay. That's all it is. When women is stressed, they need to hear that. They need to have a physical touch, or just give them a hug, let them talk. Okay, women like talking, but it doesn't mean that the man needs to really answer or fix the issue. Men are very action-oriented. Men like to approach all the problems with the action steps and solutions. Women like to just vent. So if the man just listen to the woman and say, oh, I see how you're feeling. I'm sorry you feel this way. And just give them a hug and say, honey, we will go through this. Don't worry about it. You're doing an awesome job. You're a wonderful mother and a wife. We'll get through this together. And that's all will be done. And all of the support that the woman will need. But in return, the women need to understand, for the man, it's very important to keep the job and be productive and perform well, especially when they don't see the boss, they don't see the coworkers, and they feel alone. And like, wow, I know I'm only one soldier on the battle. So the women need to understand, we need to give them time away, and we need to leave them alone so they do what they need to do. And because the man thinks they take care of the family by working. So if we could understand the differences, how we manage stress, and we'll give to each other what we need, it will be so less stress, and we will, no bickering about simple things. But it's forgiveness. We need to know that the other person doing the best. It's like, they're trying their best, so may as well just,
Yeah, that's a great advice. I mean, especially, how women should cope with men on this thing, because right now a lot of men are sitting at home and working, but their wives have a honey-do list ready for them. Change this, do this, do this. Also, it's 2020, and we have a different lifestyle. Everybody has a different lifestyle. We have social, we just don't go home, work to home and stay at home, and and then back to work again. A lot of people like socialize. They go out, restaurants, bars, social clubs, golfing, doing a lot of stuff. And we are now restricted. We can't do none of that. You can't go to a bar, have a drink. You can't go to a restaurant. You can't even sit at a restaurant. I mean, because all the restaurants are closed. And I mean, people are really feeling anxiety because of all that. I mean, they're feeling trapped,
Yes.
in their homes. And that causes fear at the same
Yes.
time. What do you think about something like that?
Well, I heard some parents said, "Oh my God, this is the end of the world," and they said, "This is not the end of the world because we have internet now. Turn off internet, that will be the end of the world." But because we have technology, we can be connected with anyone from anywhere. So, what comes to, let's say, team building in any work environment, we used to have meetings. Now we can have virtual meetings. There's nothing wrong with just having a video call with your boss, with your coworkers, or having a virtual happy hour, or having a virtual meeting. And no matter what, if there is somebody coming and interrupting, that's okay, because we're all at home and we're facing the same thing. Now, if someone, for example, they work from home and they don't really don't have anyone at home, somebody's single and they have their own business and now they cannot go anywhere, I will recommend them to write a list of people. Just kind of look on your phone, on your social media, and first of all, take out and unfollow all of those people that are spreading the fear and are being not supportive, because you really don't need those people in your life to begin with anyway. You need to reach out to those people who are uplifting. They support you, they listen to you. So you need to write a list, and next to each person write, is that your friend? For what? Are they good on listening to you and giving good advice? If you're a parent, write it down the list of other parents and say, okay, this Mary next door is a really good cook, and I'm sure I can call her up and she can give me some recipe, what lunch I can do for my kid today. Or you call your friend and say, let's make a video conference every few days to check on each other. And the beauty about this, that when you do a video and you see the other person, your brain immediately feels better because you feel like you actually saw them, right? So the more video conferencing you do, the better. But of course, it can be that if you belong to multiple groups, everybody is going to do video calls, and then you're pretty much doing nothing except just sitting in meetings.
Yeah.
So you need to prioritize, and you need to say, okay, I'll have one video call per day, or two, and that's it. Of course, you have to make sure that it's not, like how much time do you have per day and how long you can talk through that. But it's very important to see the other people outside of your household. And video calls, FaceTime, that's the way to go. I mean, there's plenty of now birthday parties that happening virtually, happy hours, and book readers clubs that meeting, and you just pour yourself a drink and sit in front of the camera, and then you laugh with other people and you feel like you actually visited them.
Gotcha. So, but you said even though you can virtually meet, some of us like that touch, like you said, a hug and stuff. And I mean, I've seen it on Facebook and social media. Can't wait to hug my friends and family and stuff. What about those people?
Well, if you cannot get the soothing from somebody else, you have to give yourself a rub, then you just have
like
to,
the one you were talking about,
exactly.
yeah.
Yes, you just brush your hands and you massage your fingers, and then you rub your neck and take a bath, and it's just having a physical touch. That's already enough, because your brain doesn't know really who's touching you anyway.
So to recap, you taught us a couple of exercises. Number one, breathe in, breathe out. Breathing is really important. Okay, and then you said touch yourself. Okay, and then the other one you said make a list of with the affirmation. Start with I am, and then also write a list of people, and reach out to them who are good listeners, uplifting, and delete the negative people out of your thing.
Right.
So those are a couple of good exercises that that anybody should be able to practice this right now at that time. Now, what do you think about people who are just constantly eating because they're afraid, or they're depressed because they can't go out, or just drinking their life away? What do you think about that? And there's a lot of people who are doing that right now.
Yes, and that's my dad works at the Kroger's, and he sees how many people buy stuff, and he says we have plenty of food, but it's just disappearing so fast because all people do is just eat all day.
Yeah.
And so eating, obviously, it is that we're trying to compensate for something that we don't have, is the anxiety. But to be honest, I cannot talk much about food because I'm not health coach. There are plenty of advices online that people are experts that they can share tips and tricks, what to do, how to keep yourself away from refrigerator.
What about alcoholic drinks?
Well, there are people who say alcohol is good, and there are people who say alcohol is very bad for you. So it's really, I cannot tell somebody don't, because if I ask my mom thinks 2 glasses of wine every night, that's fine.
Yeah.
And I have a coworker just, that is like, there's no way you're going to have 1 glass because that's already too much. So it really depends on the personal preference, but you really need to imagine yourself what will become of you in that month when you come out finally. It's like, where do you want to be? And I have a friend, she said her goal is to have a perfect figure by the time she comes back to work, because this is the time when nobody sees her for a whole month, right?
Well,
so it's like, now I'm going to work out, I'm going to get on a diet, and I'm going to come out perfect figure. This is what I've been doing. So
silver lining.
Yeah. So, if someone, I think what's for me is visual is very important. And if you kind of hate yourself going to the refrigerator and keep on eating, first of all, don't buy the food that you don't want to eat. Why do kids eat junk food? Because the pantry is full of junk food.
Exactly.
It's like if you put it there, it's going to be there. I think that we now not supposed to be going in the street should be a good thing, because if you cannot really go to the store and get some things, then you're not going to have it in your pantry. So that means you're not going to eat it. But also put a picture of a great figure or somebody all build up body and whatever that will inspire you, and just glue it on the fridge door. Like, so every time you're gonna go to the fridge, you're gonna see that image and say, I really want to be like that, so I'm not gonna eat that cookie now. And there are plenty of tips how to manage not eating online, and it's just somebody just Google that up and they can get lots of advices.
Definitely. So Lolita, I really appreciate you taking this time. We all keeping social distancing, and I mean this. If there was like something that you would say, okay, you know what, I wanna talk about that today and give a message to people. All this going on right now, what would be your message?
You need to be kind to yourself and others.
You'll be kind to yourself and others.
Yes.
And tell me, elaborate on that for me.
You have to remember that we're doing the best that we can, as I mentioned before, and everybody else also going through the same thing. And more than that, if you feel anxious and stressed out, giving to others, it really gives you a good feeling. We all like when we receive gifts or some compliments and such. But when you give to others, then you feel so much better. So instead of stressing out and thinking how I'm going to get through this, think how you can help others in your community. Maybe you the one who needs to check on your single friends and call them up and say, hey, how are you doing? Maybe you need to call a friend you haven't talked in a while and say, hey, I know you're living in New York. How are you holding up there? Just reach out to others and give your attention to others. And then you will feel so much fuller and less stressed out because you're in control and you need. And you'll just kind of rise above the fear. And I think that's what we should be.
Awesome. At the end of all my shows, I always ask people to share 3 things with me that they will share with the world or the future generation. If everything was gone, these are 3 things, 3, tips, 3, something like advice. So you shared that one. Give me 2 more if you can, please.
The advice after this pandemic is over?
When general, yes. Or after this pandemic is over. Or let's just say if there was no pandemic, what would, like, a way to live or something like that?
Oh, well, you have to take care of yourself first before you take care of others. That was one big thing for me, because I always thought that the more I sacrifice myself, the more things get better, but it's not. If you want to take care of those that you love, you need to take care of yourself first.
That's awesome. Third one.
And the third one, you need to have faith that you will get through this. No matter how bad things will get, you will get through this. You have to have faith in yourself that you can do it, because if you're up to the point where you are right now, you can go on.
I love that one. I love that one. Have faith in yourself that you'll get through this. And do you mind elaborating on that a little bit? I think you could talk a little bit about that more because that's such a strong thing because we go through every stage of life. We always go through something and we think it's going to be over. If your boyfriend is going to leave you or your girlfriend or your wife, you just think life is over, right? Your kid gets into a little accident or you have to take your kid to a doctor or something. You think like, oh my God, life is over. Sky's falling down. Your boss gets mad at you, think life is over. So that's so strong in every aspect of life that you'll get through this. Tell me, what are your feelings about that, if you don't mind elaborating that?
So I think it's very natural for us to worry about things because that just comes to our survival. We always want to make sure we prepare for the worst, but we need to talk to our brain because believe it or not all our thoughts are true. We talk ourselves into all kinds of things that are not true. So first you need to remember that you have to talk to your brain and prove it wrong. So I will recommend making another list of really writing down all of your achievements in all your life up to today. Getting driver license, getting through elementary school, anything, anything that you think that's an achievement. And no, there is no small thing. Because for you, some victory can look, it was easy. I just got into college because I had good grades. But there are people don't get into college. So you need to make a list of all of your victories, big and small. And then when you feel like you're not going to get through this, you need to read that list. You need to say, you know what? If I went through this and I achieved this and this and this, I can achieve more and I can get through this. And like I mentioned before, remember the times that were very hard for you and remember the times that you went through them and you survived, because if you're listening to this podcast, you did it.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Lolita. Thank you for coming in. Thanks for sharing your insight. And if someone wants to buy your book, Crush Stress While You Work, where is it available on Amazon? Where is it available at?
Yes, it's available on Amazon.
Lolita, how can people find you? Can they find you? Where are you at on social media?
My website is called Be Amazing You.
BeAmazingYou.com.
Yes.
Okay, so BeAmazingYou.com, and you're on LinkedIn.
Yes, and this is my name, Lolita Guarin, on LinkedIn.
Lolita Guarin on LinkedIn. Are you on Instagram and Facebook?
Yes, same name.
Lolita Guarin,
yes.
on Instagram and Facebook.
Yes.
So if people find, if people are listening, this will air. So, if people are listening and they want to find you and they want to ask you for some tips, they can always find you on Instagram, LinkedIn, or Facebook at Lolita Guarin, LolitaGuarin, your first and last name, or your website is BeAmazingYou.com. Lolita, thank you for coming in. This was such a great episode for a lot of my listeners. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. And this was great.